welcome to another one of my monthly check-ins for my Year of Brian Eno project, where I'm sort of taking a cultural journey, albeit like specific parts from that year, from 1995, which is when he kept this diary for a year. The book came out in 1996, but I'm just reflecting on some of the things that come up in the book every month, plus it's an era that I lived through, and I'm also keen to reflect on the sort of things that were going on around, in this case, September of 1995, because that's the month I want to look at. And it was an interesting period for me because I was working at Radio Rentals, but it was really a turning point from me going from being more involved in a field of microbiology, immunology and numerical taxonomy using computers, which was up to about 93, and then moving over to more information system support whilst I was at Radio Rentals, and then basically going forward for various other firms and also working for myself, and also really starting around this time period doing my postgrad studies, which then led into other studies as well in parallel with a full-time day job. So let's have a look at September. I'll include links to all of these things I'm talking about. So in terms of the book, mainly this month is very much preoccupied with this album and everything around it. So you can see here it was released on the 9th of September 1995. It's a charity album to raise funds for the War Child charity, and there's loads of people involved with it, and being released in this month, which is what in this episode I'm talking about this month in the diary. There's all the release stuff and the promotional shenanigans going on. So there's a lot of that in that section of the book, and again the associated travels involved with that. Side by side with that, this is going on. So on the 12th of September there was a concert, and I'll come on to where that was in a moment, in support of the War Child charity, and it featured Bono, Meatloaf, Simon Le Bon, Michael Bolton, The Edge, Brian Eno, Dolores O'Riordan, I probably mangled that, from the band Cranberries, who were very much in the ascendancy at that time. And in the course of the diary describing that particular period, you get mentions about Bologna and also Modena, which I understand is where that concert, that performance was. Also, there's a mention of this place, Cap Ferret, in a section of the diary where he goes out here. This is on the coast, on the French coast. I don't know if I can see any more of that. And he's talking about being here, looking out over the Atlantic. Okay. Not going to attempt. I suppose I could translate that, but anyway, I'll include a link to this. So there's definitely a trip from Italy into France. Sometimes I do find in the diary it's a bit difficult to follow the travel, and I often have to reread because there's not often much descriptions about the travel itself in terms of the flight, that sort of thing. It's very succinct. But there was a trip out to there. The other thing that gets mentioned this month is Oblique Strategies. it appears, and we'll just go on to the additions and variations, he's working on a version of it in 95 for this in 96. So there's a version of it produced by Peter Norton with the blessing of Eno and Eno as Christmas gifts for his friends and colleagues, not for commercial use. So I think I mentioned it last month. He's talking a lot about the oblique strategies and appears to also be developing new oblique strategies for inclusion, I'm assuming, in this version. And that was discussed, I think, last month, and it's also keeps cropping up this month as well. And Peter Norton's name does get mentioned. And also the Heat soundtrack comes up. So I've seen both the film Heat and I think it was the original, which was LA Takedown, both done by the same, was it the same director? Let me just check that. Yeah, directed by Michael Mann, that was it. And yeah, the script was first used for television plot developed by Mann, which became the 1989 television film LA Takedown. So I can't remember which I saw first. I think I saw this first. And then I can't remember if I saw Heat at the cinema or not. Actually, I don't think I did. I think I saw it on maybe on TV. I'm trying to remember if I've got a copy of it. I don't think so. Anyway, the reason why I bring it up is, there was a soundtrack for it, and he's mentioning that. He's mentioning working on it. So this came out in December 95. So in September, he's mentioning work for this soundtrack. You can see there he's listed. It's an interesting range of people on here. Obviously, there's I suppose some more orchestral parts. There's also a track here from the Passengers album, which I've mentioned as well, the U2 Brian Eno collaboration. And interspersed here, you can see there's a cover of New Dawn Fades by Moby, which was originally a Joy Division song. And then this track, God Moving Over the Face of the Waters, which is also by Moby. Both of now that's from Everything Is Wrong, but both of these tracks also turn up, and I think on the album I Like to Score, which has all of Moby's movie stuff, including I think one for James Bond as well. I can't remember when that came out. I was just reminded of it when I saw this. So you can see there's a number of other artists on here. Lisa Gerrard, if you're not familiar with her, was in Dead Can Dance, but I couldn't tell you if Dead Can Dance are still going. I've not really kept up to date with them, although I did go through a bit of a Dead Can Dance jag at some point in the, I suppose, 2000s, I suppose. Yeah, so that was interesting that he was mentioned. Now, breaking out from the diary, as anybody that's watched these knows, I like to talk a little bit about the year generally. So let's have a look, and particularly, around this time. So September 1995, in terms of what is going on. Now, one thing I did want to mention, I don't always go into events in the world. It's more of like cultural things, but there's a couple of things. Plague Station was released that month, and eBay was founded. So PlayStation came out, 9th of September 95 in North America, and Europe on the 29th of September 95. It had actually been released in Japan in December of 94. So that's when the PlayStation came out. And I literally, when I put these together, I just collect all this stuff just before I'm shooting it. So it always gives me an extra smile to see sort of interesting, devices like this, which were really groundbreaking at the time. Does it mention much here about the sales? I'm trying to remember if this is, whether or not this is one of the best-selling consoles or not. It's funny as well when you when this came out, I'm trying to remember, can anybody remember this period if game rental was a thing? Like console game rental? Yeah, if someone can someone can nudge my memory on that. Our first computer entertainment platform to ship over 100 million units. And the PS2 came out in 2000. The only one I have is I do have a PS3. Don't have a lot of games for it. Usual suspects on the PS3, which I have Mass Effect. Is it Little Big World, I think? Star Wars Lego title. Skyrim. And the previous one to Skyrim. What is it? Oblivion, I think. If that's right. Something like that. I'm not very good on remembering computer game names if they're not right in front of me, even ones I own. And the other thing is, one of the reasons I bought it actually was, or I bought a PS3 was because it had Blu-ray. So yeah, at the time it was a great way of getting a Blu-ray player reasonably priced. But of course the PS1 would have had, what was it, a CD player on it, I think. You have to excuse my ignorance here. Like I said, I'm not very good at this sort of stuff. Just looking to see what it has here. I love that. It's got a real classic look to it. And yeah, these controllers. Oh wow, some peripherals as well. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it will play audio CDs. Okay. Yeah. I think at that point, when I think about it, around that time I'd only just bought my first PC, like a proper personal computer. We had a Commodore Plus 4 in the house, but yeah, so I wouldn't have had a lot of spare money to spend on gaming systems. And yeah, I mentioned about eBay as well. So September the 3rd, 1995. And I probably didn't get involved with eBay until, 98, when I started working for myself. And the reason was that I was helping a lot of home users with their computer systems, and several of them wanted to get set up on eBay. I had a client of mine who used to own, I think, a toy shop way back in the day, which subsequently he shut down, and he was getting rid of a lot of his old toys that he'd acquired through that shop, through eBay, and other things as well. Yeah, that was in 98, around there, I think, 98, 99, and then forward. And of course involved with that was also PayPal as well. It was a little bit later though. I also wanted to mention this because this debuted on BBC Two in September of 95. Now, it was out before then, and in the UK it would have been through satellite, and I didn't have a satellite system. I had a friend who had it, and they'd always be talking about the latest Star Trek stuff because they were a big Star Trek fan. And so I remember this coming out on, being shown on BBC Two starting September 95, and I remember it alongside Babylon 5, which was a similarly themed show. Again, there was a bit of a time lag on this. This was on, I'm assuming this would have been on satellite, and then it turned up on probably BBC Two as well, although I'm not sure. But I do remember when I used to watch it, because I used to sit being in my room with what's it now? I'd have my computer doing my Open University homework on a Sunday. That was the day I always did my homework, and then in the background I'd have Sunday afternoon TV on, and Babylon 5 was one of the things that was on TV on a Sunday afternoon. But as soon as I saw that being aired on BBC Two in September, it made me think of this as well. So that's why I brought that up. In terms of stuff on at the cinema that was released in 95 in September, we've got The Prophecy. What else do I recognise here? Truman, Hackers. Most of this stuff I've seen on TV. I wasn't going to the cinema that much at this point. Seven subsequently was on TV. Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. What are we up to there? 6th instalment. I wasn't really keeping up. So those are the ones I think I remember most, would be The Prophecy, Truman. Don't really remember that. Remember Hackers. Oh, The Usual Suspects. Yeah, that's true. 7, of course. Showgirls, I sort of remember that. Didn't see it though. And music. This is an interesting month. So what I've done is I've also updated the playlist on Spotify for the year of 1995 albums. I'm also going to update the singles list as well. I've been keeping up to date of stuff that I think was new entries in the top 20 in that particular period, because I think that provides a really interesting musical backdrop for me. Although it's not my favourite stuff, it reminds me a lot of that period, because we were listening to chart radio in where I worked. It was on in the background, and so I was sort of every time I hear that sort of stuff, it really takes me back. So those were good times. Well, now is good times, but that was a particular favourite firm I worked for. I really enjoyed working for Radio Rentals, and the people I worked with were really lovely. So Great Escape by Blur. I remember that coming out because there was that big hit. Was it Country House? I think. One Hot Minute. Well, I didn't know much about Jawbreaker at that point, although I subsequently went on to buy a Jawbreaker album. This is their 4th studio album. That was a compilation. Timeless by Goldie. Love this album. Awesome drum and bass album. So at that point I was listening to, in addition to all the sort of hard rock, metal and pop as well, things I really liked were trip hop and some drum and bass as well. Yeah, Paranoid and Sunburn. I covered that in Joy of the Rediscovered Album episode, actually. So I bought that when it came out. Outside by David Bowie. I bought that when it came out on the strength of I saw a performance of Hello Space Boy on, I think, later with Jules Holland, where there's a really cool version of that, much heavier. Rammstein, that would be their debut album, Ball Breaker by AC/DC. I'll come back to this band in a moment, Frontline Assembly, because I want to dig down and check something. Was that the first Cause album? Yeah, it was their debut album. That has, the track I remember is, yeah, Runaway. But it has other, yeah, well-known stuff on there. Those are all the singles. Debut by 6 Foot Under and The Carnival Bazaar by Cathedral. I wasn't into Cathedral at that point, but I'm pretty sure I bought this album retrospectively. I've certainly listened to it because that's the one with Hopkins Witchfinder Jenner on it. So I was just going to go back to this band, Frontline Assembly. My fellow Canadians. Yep, so I had previously bought Millennium. So I was wondering when that came out. So I must have, yeah, the first album I bought by them was Caustic Grip, but quite a while after it came out. And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up is Frontline Assembly always remind me of a period in my life when I only had a couple of CDs. One was Caustic Grip by Frontline Assembly, and I think the other one was an industrial metal compilation which had some Frontline Assembly on it, had Chrome. The track, is it Third Rock from the Sun, I think, is the track that was on there, and a load of other stuff as well. I think it had some Front 242 on there, and Godlike by, I'm trying to think of that band that had an ex-member of Napalm Death in it. Godflesh, that was it. So on the strength of that album, I bought Frontline Assembly Caustic Grip. I also seem to remember buying an EP by the band. I don't know which one. But what was interesting is I had those CDs. I didn't have a CD player, but I did have a computer that could play CDs, so I used to play them back on my computer. Probably while I was doing my assignments as well, if I wasn't watching TV. So yeah, they were one of my first bands that I bought a CD by. Oh, and this track came out in September, and the reason why I flagged that is this caused a lot of controversy at the time. Yeah, Sorted for Ease and Whiz. Yeah, first performed at the Glastonbury Festival in '95 as well, and then came out as a single in September. So between Common People and Disco 2000, it was on Different Class, which came out next month. So we'll talk about Different Class in next month's retrospective. And again, I like to just give you a bit of a idea about what was going on in the UK charts in terms of the top 10. So this is the start of September. So we got, Country House by Blur, Rembrandts, Oasis Roll With It, I Feel Loved by Donna Summer. That was back in the charts. I can't remember why specifically. So let's have a quick look through. You have to excuse me. They redesigned this website and it's made it really slow because there's just so many ads and pop-ups on it. Oh, You're Not Alone. Anything else here? Oh, TLC, Waterfalls. Oh, that's Smokey featuring Roy Chubby Brown single. Like a naughty single. Oh, Bombastic by Shaggy. Yeah, I'm sure I've mentioned that I recently saw Shaggy 5 this year in 2023. Yeah, excellent. Runaway by Janet Jackson. Out There Brothers. And then moving on to the sort of end of the month. Fairground by Simply Red. Fantasy by Mariah Carey. Oh, Staying Alive by Entrance. Yeah, of course, this was the theme song to Friends. So yeah, no surprise that's in the charts. Also, I think Wet 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 were pretty popular around that time. So album-wise, what have we got coming in? Well, we've already seen what comes out, but what's actually in the UK charts at that point? So yeah, Morrissey, Paul Weller, Black Grape, Oasis, TLC, Michael Jackson. That Supergrass album's really good. Zeitgeist by the Levelers. They're worth checking out if you haven't checked out the Levelers. And Charlatans. And then we've got, moving on, it's taking its time. Charlatans, History, definitely Maybe by Oasis, Park Life by Blur, Seal 2, oh, there's One Hot Minute, Circus by Lenny Kravitz, Dummy by Portishead. Yeah, so yeah, pretty good month in the top 10 albums charts. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, that's it. And then we've got Stanley Road, Paul Weller. Yeah, cool. Oh, there's Paranoid and Sunburn as well. Excellent. Okay, so there we have it. So hopefully you enjoyed that sort of resume or check-in for a year of Brian Eno, my cultural journey through the diary from 95 and also other things Eno generally and 95 generally. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future episode.